actually, let's just draw this out real quick. So let's say that this is our root node, and this is like the things we need to Obsidian. So like, what do we think that we might need to Obsidian is like the question that we're trying to answer here, right? So I think that we can start off by thinking about how notes go into our system. Everyone I've heard of in YouTube who deals with Obsidian are engineers, medic students, or PhDs. Yeah, and a lot of, like I said, D&D folks, a lot of like people in theology as well. I find that there is a really interesting community forming around a lot of different types of thought leaders in the PKM kind of Obsidian space. I think it's personally exciting because, like, again, you'll find a lot of plugins here. For example, like if I go to this plugins browse section and I go to like Dice Roller, this is an extremely popular plugin, but it was very much made for D&D, right? Like this person built this Dice Roller plugin so that he could play Dungeons and Dragons better, which is cool. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, there's such an interesting interface here. And like I said, I do developer ambassador work for OpenAI. So it's cool to know that there's another space that's like growing with a bunch of really intelligent people creating really awesome stuff, and being able to work in this space has just been really gratifying. So you're totally right, Katuno. There's a ton of engineers, medic students, and I'm on the list of the engineering folk for sure. But it's awesome to see how this field is growing so much. So anyway, so the things that we need to Obsidian. So I think we need to say that first we have to capture, right? So capturing is like the number one thing that we need to do. Let's say that you have a thought. So, you know, you have an idea, right? And I think that ideas don't always look like this guy looks way too happy to be having an idea. I think most ideas come in passing. If you're familiar with the terminology solvitar ambulato, that means to figure out something while you're walking. So you'll be out on a walk and something will come into your mind. Solvitur ambulato. This is the idea of when you're walking, something will just kind of like appear to you as obvious, but it wasn't obvious before, right? So this is, to me, where most of my ideas come from. They come from walks, they come from showers, they come from things where I'm just kind of chilling, hanging, and that's when ideas usually arise. So how does that work for what we're trying to describe here? So let's say that you have an idea, right? You have the idea that you want to capture it down. So you like, okay, you have a few options. You can either speak it into a microphone, you can write it down, you can video record yourself. You try to figure out some way to capture that information. So let's say that you take this idea, you capture it, and then it gets captured into into a system. But like, what does the system look like, right? So let's say that we have a system over here that we trust. And this is a concept that I didn't really understand how important it was until I had a system that broke on me. And like a story behind this is basically I had a PC and Notion and a few other apps that I was using, and it was very disjointed. Like I didn't really know where things went when they disappeared, right? Like I would spend a lot of time kind of thinking like, if I have idea X and I need to put it somewhere, then I might lose it, right? There was a lot of things that just kind of got lost in the proverbial mail. So the idea is that you want to build a system where things don't get lost that frequently. You want a system where you can come back to it and feel confident that everything is in the right place before. And ideally, you want to set up that organization beforehand so you don't need to go through and think about how to basically add a priority structure to things after the fact. And this is like something that's like really complicated because it kind of has to be, it's like building a plane engine while you're in mid-flight, or fixing a plane engine while you're in mid-flight a little bit. But we can talk a little bit about that with the system we trust idea. So Obsidian needs to be a system that we trust, right? That's a given. We need to create a system in Obsidian so that we can feel confident that anything that we put into Obsidian will be something that we can find. Yeah, I find that so frustrating too. Exactly. So it's like you want to be able to capture and then have a system that you trust where you can figure. So basically what I've done for Obsidian, my own Obsidian, is that I've created external apps and plugins and workflows. And basically these workflows, external apps, and plugins all do independent work to make the system trustworthy. So this, and this all have a responsibility. Oh, I'm in the way. I'll have a responsibility to make the system system work when I do this capture, because the idea should be that you should be able to just do things on your day-to-day, right? Like you should never feel your system is the bottleneck between what you're trying to do. So you'll see that a lot on this stream. You know, like a lot of the experiment that I'm conducting with this stream is to try and create something that shows people PKM in action. So you'll be able to see like, oh, this is how I would be able to conduct the task of updating my checklists in real time, and also hopefully use it in a kind of entertaining fashion. So we can just have fun too, because I think it's really important when we're playing with this idea to play, right? Like it shouldn't necessarily feel like so stressful to do. So I hope that answers your question, broadly speaking, about like the seamless mobile to quickly reference or take notes tomorrow and Katuno, is that I have built different workflows, and this is going to be different for everybody. Really, I think a good way of setting these systems up is that you should think just about this capture thing and then just try and put it on something that you already know kind of works. So like a folder structure, for example. So like if I were to take a picture of my actual Obsidian, so like you can see it's literally just a file structure, right? So these are all just markdown files, and you can trust that that's going to be pretty fine between machines, right? All computers kind of have folders, structures that you would be able to leverage to capture. And if you have them in, you know, something where you can just like focus on this capturing thing, you'll start to notice what the problems are, right? You'll start to be like, oh, actually, it really sucks when I don't have the right tags for these things, or it really, and you'll make a new workflow so that it templates the tags for you automatically. Or you're like, oh, it really sucks that I can't use my phone on the go to take voice notes and then record them into my app, and then you'll make a shortcut like I did where I dictate to Obsidian. Or you're like, oh, I really wish that there was a way to discover, like, look at this visually through like a full calendar, right? I want to be able to see like a full calendar in my Obsidian, and then you'll find a plugin that solves that for you. So there's just a bunch of stuff that I think will help you get unstuck in the Obsidian space. So just like, you know, I think it's great to just get started, because the ceiling is really high, but at the root of it, just start making a folder of markdown files.